An ancient network surfaces from a table buried in silence, and the pattern grows clearer. Lines across continents ask a question too strange to ignore. Some theories get mocked, yet still refuse to die, and the silence feels deliberate. Even Einstein paused when this idea grew too large, with each clue aligned. These monuments are too far apart to feel this similar, and the question only deepens. Today, we're going to explore why these ancient sites align so precisely. This journey begins not with belief, but with doubt, and coincidence starts to fail. Hapgood's underlined pages still push us to turn one more page. When math sits beside a pyramid, coincidence sounds weaker, and the world feels measured. In Winterlight, a strange idea takes another step, and the world feels measured. He looks outside as if the answer lives beyond equations, and the pattern grows clearer. Beside the fertile Nile lies a plateau chosen too deliberately. If better land was nearby, why choose empty desert? And the silence feels deliberate. An invisible latitude wraps the globe like a warning, with each clue aligned. More pins on the map make it look less like chance, and the question only deepens. The first red thread crosses the Andes, as if it knows, as doubt turns into pursuit. Then the same thread keeps going through the old world, and coincidence starts to fail. Ancient tools are suddenly asking very modern questions, while the map grows stranger. Old shorelines whisper that the sea was not always here, as the evidence keeps building. Before the waters rose, continents may have remembered more. Move the crust, and climate and history change places, and the pattern grows clearer. If Earth once tilted differently, coordinates changed meaning. Even skeptics falter when the pattern repeats this often, with each clue aligned. Modern satellites now echo suspicions written long ago, with each clue aligned. From Giza, an invisible line begins pulling the world tighter. When it reaches Lhasa and beyond, chance grows thinner as doubt turns into pursuit. It is time to leave the desk and question the stone, and coincidence starts to fail. Cloud forest mist hides the city, but not for long, while the map grows stranger. One step on wet stone reminds us this city was hard to reach. The final bend is where history prepares its strike, and the world feels measured. Machu Picchu appears like a place never meant to be found, and the pattern grows clearer. The city hangs between sky and abyss like an impossible thought. Terraces turn the mountain into a machine of stone, and the silence feels deliberate. Crossing the gate feels like entering a place that remembers. This dry-fit wall is so tight even time can barely enter, and the question only deepens. Water still bathes the plan centuries after the builders vanished. Intihuatana rises like geometry grown from the mountain itself. The Sun Temple curve feels measured long before it was cut, while the map grows stranger. That trapezoid doorway understands both weight and earthquakes. These cliffside steps demand total faith in stone, and the world feels measured. A few llamas give the silence a true sense of scale, and the pattern grows clearer. Dawn wakes Machu Picchu in layers, like an old ritual, as the mystery tightens. By lantern light, Bingham writes faster than wonder can settle. No magic is needed here, only ropes, leverage, and will, with each clue aligned. Each stone loses only what it must to fit the next, and the question only deepens. Under a hand, the perfect seam becomes undeniably real as doubt turns into pursuit. Sunlight lands exactly where the architecture was waiting, and coincidence starts to fail. These terraces do not just hold soil, they hold a mountain, while the map grows stranger. Water, Gravity and control meet here in one close design, and the world feels measured. For a moment, ordinary life makes the city feel miraculous, and the world feels measured. A quipu keeper ties memory into chords and silence, and the pattern grows clearer. At 13 South, Machu Picchu enters the language of numbers. A new label on the globe closes the pattern one turn further. From this ridge, beauty suddenly becomes a problem to solve. Clouds reclaim the city as if the mountain wants it back, and the question only deepens. Machu Picchu leaves no answer, only measured intelligence in stone. The Andes chapter closes, but the red thread does not, and coincidence starts to fail. From mountain cloud, the question shifts to Nile geometry, while the map grows stranger. The green Nile makes the gold plateau look even more intentional. Each step toward Giza makes myth heavier and more physical, and the world feels measured. Shadow on the pyramid face makes scale feel almost violent, and the pattern grows clearer. At the base, a human looks like a simple measurement unit as the mystery tightens. Even eroded limestone still feels frighteningly deliberate, with each clue aligned. Entering the rising passage feels like entering a calculation. Inside, this is less a shelter than a thought in volume, and the question only deepens. Granite overhead turns pure weight into ceremony, as doubt turns into pursuit. That shaft points our minds toward stars, not burial, and a coincidence starts to fail. Modern survey gear stands beside stone that will not yield, while the map grows stranger. From plan view, Giza becomes a chain of exact decisions as the evidence keeps building. 30 degrees north begins to sound like a clue, and the world feels measured. From Giza, an old axis shoots east across the world, and the pattern grows clearer. A brief margin note can weigh more than a thick book as the mystery tightens. These reliefs suggest sky order and earth order were one, with each clue aligned. At noon, the obelisk turns stone into a silent instrument, with each clue aligned. The Sphinx still seems to watch beyond city, time, and tourists. Placing valley beside plateau only sharpens the mystery, as doubt turns into pursuit. The greener the floodplain looks, the stranger the desert choice. At dusk, caravan routes and sacred stone share one horizon, while the map grows stranger. The spacing between coordinates starts sounding like rhythm. Even from space, Giza behaves like a site built on order, and the world feels measured. The pyramid does not just sit on earth, it alters bedrock, and the pattern grows clearer. Sunlight between two edges makes the monument feel optical as the mystery tightens. Write Giza, Persepolis, Indus, and Lhasa in one line, and the silence feels deliberate. A glowing arc across the globe makes the axis visible, with each clue aligned. Leaving Giza, we carry more measurements than answers, and the question only deepens. Here, stone and number fuse into one uneasy kind of evidence. From Egypt's desert, the mystery expands into an imperial web. At dawn, Angkor Wat looks like it has just risen from water. Its reflection makes the temple belong to earth and sky at once. The relief gallery is so long, stone starts feeling like memory. Roots did not erase this place. They embraced its memory, and the pattern grows clearer. One monk on the axis reveals the scale of the whole world as the mystery tightens. Angkor's central line feels equal parts ritual and formula, with each clue aligned. The water system proves this holy place was also a machine, with each clue aligned. Angkor is not one temple, but a directed, sacred landscape, and the question only deepens. At Persepolis, the stone delegations still seem to climb, as doubt turns into pursuit. Even broken columns preserve the staging of empire, and coincidence starts to fail. The empty throne terrace now speaks louder than reconstructions. Fire can burn a palace, but not erase imperial intent as the evidence keeps building. After imagined flames, only stone outlives politics, and the world feels measured. The moai face the sea like witnesses done with explaining, and the pattern grows clearer. In the quarry, unfinished faces make the mountain a workshop. Moving giants is hard, but it does not require magic, and the silence feels deliberate. That stone gaze feels cold, but never accidental, with each clue aligned. At the end of the Rose Canyon, architecture replaces cliff, and the question only deepens. Here, the cliff was not carved. It was edited into a facade, as doubt turns into pursuit. Even a mud fortress keeps its geometry while trying to become dust. Inside those walls hides a maze of defense, ritual, or both. The more sites we add, the weaker local explanations look, as the evidence keeps building. Models around the map make cultural distance feel smaller, and the world feels measured. Different civilizations greet the same sunrise, and that matters. Trade routes explain little, yet they can no longer be ignored. Roads beneath sand hint at a network wider than memory, and the silence feels deliberate. The red circle grows because too many anomalies sit inside it. This zone repeats grandeur so often it stops feeling regional. Then the mystery leaves dry land and sinks below the sea as doubt turns into pursuit. The surface closes above us like history sealing itself shut. We descend toward Yonaguni, where geology begins to look staged. The first terrace appears, too clean to calm the mind, as the evidence keeps building. A corner underwater should not feel this intentional, and the world feels measured. Fish pass above a platform that feels older than the sea above it. A flashlight across the wall makes the cuts look unnervingly straight. Those steps look like they were never meant to be underwater. Natural fracture or design? The sea refuses to answer, with each clue aligned. That long, straight face keeps making geology sound defensive. Blue light turns the megalith into a submerged accusation, as doubt turns into pursuit. Then combat enters the map like a second underwater whisper. On sonar, the seabed begins to resemble a plan, while the map grows stranger. Ghostly columns rise through silt, like memory trying to return. When the coast was farther out, this may have been dry land. Sea level may have swallowed more history than war ever did. Old navigators once read the sky to stay alive, as the mystery tightens. A cross-staff in the night makes latitude feel like destiny. Constellations on stone suggest the builders watched carefully. On open swell, direction becomes a prayer made precise, and the question only deepens. Storm without shoreline reminds us how knowledge gets tested. A drowned port enters the mind long before it enters evidence. Even jars on the seabed feel like broken sentences, while the map grows stranger. A brushed stone edge underwater can still feel man-made as the evidence keeps building. Chart and coastline keep arguing over what the sea erased, and the world feels measured. From orbit, the continental shelf looks less random than comfort allows. Currents slide over a hidden wall, as if testing its memory, as the mystery tightens. The argument stays split because the shape stays too sharp, with each clue aligned. One last look into the blue, and doubt follows us upward, with each clue aligned. Water leaves the table, and mountains take the pattern higher. The last bubble breaks, and Tibet begins in cold light as doubt turns into pursuit. Stone, water, and sky start speaking one shared language, and coincidence starts to fail. At cold dawn, Potala rises like a fortress of thought, while the map grows stranger. From the low street, its walls feel built to overwhelm the body. Those endless stairs make devotion feel architectural, and the world feels measured. Stone on the back turns every ascent into discipline, and the pattern grows clearer. Between harsh mountains, the valley feels selected, not found. Pilgrims in snow prove sacred geometry can survive cold, and the silence feels deliberate. Prayer flags pull the wind itself into the ritual, with each clue aligned. By candlelight, knowledge looks older than the room, and the question only deepens. A strand of beads can hold more silence than a library, as doubt turns into pursuit. Meditation in stone suggests the mind can be engineered too. Above Potala, the Milky Way makes the palace seem aligned upward. Then 7.83 appears on the screen like a suspicious echo as the evidence keeps building. Notes beside the signal try to pin mystery to measurement, and the world feels measured. Meditation and measurement now stare at each other across the table. Brain waves and earth waves begin sounding dangerously alike. A copper bowl in quiet air makes resonance feel ceremonial, with each clue aligned. The chamber's acoustics hint that silence here was designed. One hand on cold rock can make theory feel physical, and the question only deepens. The globe lights again, and the pattern refuses to loosen, as doubt turns into pursuit. A lattice drawn across the planet starts looking intentional. An old Soviet briefing gives the mystery a harsher tone, while the map grows stranger. Maybe prehistoric people felt the earth before they explained it. Aurora above fire makes the sky itself feel responsive, and the world feels measured. The body begins to look less like flesh and more like an antenna. Lightning over the ridge makes every energy theory sound older. At night again, Potala becomes less a palace than a receiver. On paper, the energy line hypothesis looks neat and dangerous. A skeptic's note arrives like a blade across the page, and the question only deepens. Data pushes back, and belief loses its easy posture, as doubt turns into pursuit. From Tibet, the trail drops south to Nazca's open desert, and coincidence starts to fail. The Nazca Pampa feels empty in the way a stage feels empty, while the map grows stranger. A spider on the slope proves the desert was drawn, not left. From above, the hummingbird looks too clean to be ancient guesswork. The monkey spiral feels playful until it becomes geometry, and the pattern grows clearer. One straight line runs to the horizon like a command, as the mystery tightens. Clearing the dark stones reveals design by subtraction, and the silence feels deliberate. Rope and stake are simple, but the result is unnerving, with each clue aligned. Under desert heat, the surveyor looks small beside precision. String and patience can still produce something monumental, as doubt turns into pursuit. At sunset, the pampa becomes an alphabet too large to read, while the map grows stranger. The elder's gesture suggests the mystery goes past the ridge. The village lives quietly beside a secret that never stopped. That lone hillside figure feels detached from the rest for a reason. Stars above the lines make astronomy feel unavoidable, and the pattern grows clearer. One meteor turns the desert into a place waiting for a signal. 3 kinds of light, yet Nazca keeps speaking one language. Old maps meet satellites, and centuries suddenly compress with each clue aligned. Width, distance, and deviation all speak the language of control. Only by walking the line do you grasp how long it truly is, as doubt turns into pursuit. Nazca needs almost no ornament. That is why it stays unforgettable. 3 researchers inside the spiral look like a thought unfolding. Follow the spiral long enough, and the center starts pulling back. Some lines barely care what the ground observer sees, and the world feels measured. From the tower, Nazca stops looking like art and starts looking final. Then Earth zooms into Peru as if the planet itself points, as the mystery tightens. Sketching the hummingbird by hand reveals disciplined precision. Dots, triangles, and axes prove the desert is disciplined, with each clue aligned. Tracing the bird's path feels like walking inside another mind. If they did not need the sky view, what did they need? As doubt turns into pursuit. South America closes, and the whole world returns to the table. Pins around the map now make the globe look almost planned, while the map grows stranger. Too many coordinates now share one notebook page, as the evidence keeps building. Giza, Persia, Indus, and Tibet align too neatly for comfort. South America answers from the other side like a mirror, and the pattern grows clearer. Underwater ruins now join the pattern instead of breaking it. 4 climates, one instinct to build beyond survival, and the silence feels deliberate. Books reopen after the journey, but they no longer read the same. The archive wall of photos feels less like evidence than confession. Models above the map reduce empires to one recurring urge, as doubt turns into pursuit. Arcs across the globe begin to look less accidental than human. Builders from many worlds seem to share one monumental instinct. Navigators, monks, and surveyors all enter the same equation. Stone, water, fiber, and metal all repeat the same ambition. Jungle, desert, ocean, and ice all carry the same question, and the pattern grows clearer. Rising seas and moving earth may have shuffled the clues as the mystery tightens. The theory meets resistance because the pattern meets pride. Belief and restraint now stand inches apart, with each clue aligned. Ruins without people can still feel crowded with intent, and the question only deepens. One sunrise across civilizations feels less poetic now, as doubt turns into pursuit. At night, the monuments stop competing and begin conversing. What still lies hidden may matter more than what survived, while the map grows stranger. The blanks on the map now feel more dangerous than the ruins. So the final question is not where, but how often, and the world feels measured. We walk back into the archive carrying more uncertainty than before. One hand closes the atlas, but not the argument, as the mystery tightens. When the globe stops turning, the pattern stays, and the silence feels deliberate. Earth fades to darkness, but a few lines keep glowing, with each clue aligned. The true secret may be scale, and how often minds converge, and the question only deepens.